Everybody, it is Kim from KMS Mortgages, and I'm here with my good friend Lee Booth, and we are here to talk to you about relocating. It's really opportune timing because April is coming up. That is posting season for military members, so we are going to see a lot of people moving province to province. So Lee, I have a few questions for you about the process, and I was wondering, what are some of the things you need to know from your clients before you can start helping them look for houses, especially when you're looking remote?
Oh, yeah. The biggest ones I really need first is their needs. So how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, do they want, a 2-story, a bungalow? Do they need a finished basement? All that. So I need to know their needs first. Then once I know that, then we can go into the wants. So if they need a bigger garage or they want a nicer sized backyard, those are things that I need to know. Because it's a little bit different in the fact of they're not physically here with me. So having a really good communication is really important, because then it helps me be able to go into these homes and go yes or no. Yes, it's going to work for your family or for you, or it's not. And then I can say, no, it won't work for what you need. But that's, I think, the biggest thing that has to happen in the beginning is to have a communication about what they really need and then what their wants are.
And so what forms of communication do you like best in one of these situations?
So in one of these situations, A is, to be able to talk on the phone. To either do something like this, a Zoom call, and be able to just talk it out. I think through email and text in the beginning, it's very difficult, because it's easier this way to find out exactly, okay, what are you looking for? Perfect. What do you need? Perfect. Then it makes it easier. I think sometimes it gets lost in a text or in an email, and they're like giving you a list of, I need 3 bedrooms, but they might say, but I need a tub in this, and I want a shower in this. People get excited when they talk about it. And I think that's a thing of, I know that, there's texting and email, but there's some situations I think in the beginning that it's important to have a person-to-person conversation about it.
Sure. To be able to tell the difference between I really need the soaker tub and just the inflection in their voice between, is this a need or a want?
Or like they want a nice size kitchen. You can tell when someone gets excited about something, then you're like, okay, now I know exactly. And it helps me also that I know what they get excited for. So when I go into a home, I can be like, look at the kitchen. And they're like, yes. Or like, look at this bedroom. Like, I know what they're looking for, so then they get excited.
So are you able to give a good idea of how much, say, natural light a room has, or how large the living room is?
Yeah, pictures don't always tell the whole truth. Sometimes pictures can make it look bigger when it's not. So yes, by me physically going inside, I can be like, okay, so this living room is this big. Or, the windows, there's actually only one window right here. And then there's no more natural light here. So yes, it makes it easier that I can go in and talk about it. Now with me doing it through video, it does take a little bit longer in the fact that I am literally going through everything that I'm seeing, so nothing's missed. So if there's a scratch on the fridge, or if there's a dent somewhere, or there's a scratch in a wall, like houses are lived in, so there's scratches and dents and stuff, but those are things that I say, okay, hey, I see a little hole in the wall, I see a scratch here. So at least when I go through each room, I can say what's in it and if something's wrong, because it is different. It's not like they're there and they physically can see it.
Right.
And then I just kind of show everything and then talk about what I see.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Because you're having to give, normally you would get a vibe of when you walk into a room, and you're sort of having to give them that, for sure.
I notice stuff, because I don't want them to be like, I didn't know that there's a big hole in the wall. I didn't say it. So I just say everything I see. There's a scratch there, there's a hole, the room might need to, and I say the room might need to be painted.
Yeah.
The room, those kind of things. So just having those open conversations will help and put them at ease, especially if they're from another province. It's just easier to go through everything and then they're like, okay, perfect.
Because I imagine that's such a stressful time is having to move, not actually physically being able to see this huge purchase. Did you have clients ask you about things like what the neighborhood is like or any amenities that are around? Or
one of the things I like to do is when I am going into before a showing or after, I like to say, okay, how far is a trail? How far is a park? How far is groceries? How far is restaurants? I like to talk about those things just so that they know, or if I know that something's important to them. Lee, I want to be able to walk to go get food or go to a pub or something like that. Then I can be like, hey, it's like 10 minutes or it's close by. So I like to kind of say, yes, this is what's around it. But I also suggest that they need to also like Google the neighborhood, kind of research themselves too, because there might be something I missed or something I may not be able to tell them. So that way they've done their own research too.
That makes sense.
When you're looking at Edmonton, there's so many parts to Edmonton. So there's the Edmonton, but then there's also the communities and cities around it, right? So you don't know exactly, and I think that's another big conversation point too, is what exactly are you looking for in your city or your community, and what you need to be by, because that's another huge thing that they might be like, yes, my friends, I've heard this area is good, but then you get to talking, you're like, wow, I think this neighborhood might be better for you.
Right.
So knowing those kind of things, especially once you go into neighborhoods, you kind of, oh, I know what you're looking for now, and then it could change. So yeah, but they have to research too. That helps too.
So are you ever able to make a recommendation on whether you feel like a particular house might be a better fit for them?
Yeah, especially if I know exactly what they're looking for and I kind of understand, okay, now I know what they're looking for. I can be like, okay, so out of this house, it has these points. And then this house had these points. So if I know you're looking for a big backyard, well, I'm going to say this one had a really nice backyard, but this one's really small. Right. So so yes, I can be like, point out what they need. I mean, ultimately it's up to them what they want, but I will say, here's your pros, here's your cons for both houses or whatever houses they're looking at. Just so that I can be honest and be like, okay, here's the houses, here's what you're looking for. So yes, I will say this one had this or this one. You have to compare, but you kind of know what they like.
Sure.
After you've seen a few houses, you know what someone's looking for. So I can be like, I'll go, I'll look, and then but I will always ask them first. What do you think? Yes or no? And usually you can tell by people's energies. Like, oh yes, I really like this house, or they're just like, no.
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 I have a super sensitive nose. Would you tell them if the house smells like cat pee?
Yes, I would say yes. I would definitely say if there's a certain smell, I will say there are smells in the house. Because sometimes people, even if they have an air freshener, I even say, while I was walking through the home, there is a air freshener on, or one of the humidifiers with the scent going on, so it had a strong smell to it as I was going around. So that would be something you would have to, maybe if I was going for a second showing, say, can you make sure that the air freshener is not on, just so that I could see if it was masking anything, or if it was just they liked that smell.
Sure.
Because we're all different. But yes, I do say, I do say when there's a smell. I'm like, not in the house. I will not talk about things in the house. I will wait till later because with technology, I don't know if there's eyes watching me. So, especially like at the front door, inside, I have no idea. So I will do and say like, here's the living room, here's this big, but I won't be like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it. I keep it pretty like poker face, and then I will get into my vehicle and then have the conversation. I'll phone or whatever, and we can talk about it.
For sure.
But I will not discuss in the house.
Do you warn your clients ahead of time then that, you know, let's keep it on the down low because there might be
Yes.
cameras?
Yeah, but people get excited. They're like, oh my gosh, look at it. And you're like,
You're screwing the negotiation.
stop. And I feel bad, but you just don't know nowadays if someone's listening. And it's like, but also people think it's funny. Like some people I will say, oh, there's a camera here, and they'll be like, oh, and they'll make comments. And you know they're making those comments just to be funny. It's nothing. So yeah, so it just things like you go through the house, you can talk about stuff, but I always suggest we just not talk about certain things.
For sure, for sure.
Don't say that you absolutely love it. Anyway.
That makes sense.
I mean, you can. I'm just teasing. Like, you can say what you want. Sometimes it's just easier to, I just say, just be careful what you say. Because you don't want to say something really negative about someone's house and then they get upset about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they do. It's someone's house.
What is the oddest thing somebody has ever asked you to do for them?
I wouldn't say I would. I mean, there are situations that I may have been asked, but that's something that it's up to me, like if I want to do it or not. But I think for me, it's not about what people ask, it's about how I feel in a home. Like if I open up a door, there's this energy right away, or it could be in a room. So it's kind of funny to watch me going through a house. If I like, there's been times where I'll come to a bedroom or a room, and I'll just stay at the door frame, and I'll be like, go ahead. You just look around, just because there's this feeling, this energy. And then I think the funniest is probably me in basements, because there are times where I'm like, no, I'm not going down there. You go right ahead.
You get a feeling there was a freezer full of body parts or something.
I hope not. But you can just, I mean, every house has a story, and every house has an energy. I don't think we realize that until you start going into people's houses, that there's these energies. So there's just sometimes I may not enter into a room, that I might just stand there at the door watching. And if I do go downstairs, I may be always like, my hands are like, I guess that's my body, like it would be my body saying like, no,
Oh, that's awesome.
It's funny. I think those are the things that they should have like on reality shows, is when, you know, like there's a room and you're like, no,
I ain't going in there.
I'm not going there. No, sorry. But every home's different and unique, so that's the fun part. And doing it by video is very different, because I'm doing it like with them through the camera, so that's been quite different that way. But I adapt. I mean, it's fun.
For sure, for sure. And are you finding people are able to make the final purchase without actually having seen it in person? Like they can just come and say, good enough for me, Lee, let's sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can purchase a home without even leaving your home. That is the most amazing thing that can be done, is the fact that you can physically buy a home in another province and then come here and grab your keys and you have a house. Yeah. Now, saying that, you do need key people I always say key because it's just not me. There's a team of people. So there'd be like yourself for your mortgage. And then there's also lawyers, the lawyer, and then you also need your home inspector.
Yeah.
Those are especially who's in, and of course I would say your insurance too, you need to talk to.
Yeah.
So those are the big key things that you need to do when you're purchasing a home. But yeah, as long as you have, for me, having a team and everyone working together, nobody has to, they can do it very smoothly.
Completely remotely, completely seamlessly. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, which is amazing. You just are like, wow, I can't, like, sometimes I'm like, really? We can do this? But yeah, you can do everything.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'm not saying it's like, oh, this is easy, but as long as everyone is in place and you know exactly what you need to do, then it's easier to do that. But I do suggest if you can come up and just, especially for the inspection,
sure,
someone come up and just see it, then it would make it easier.
Yeah. But as long as you've got that good communication and the right expectations are set,
yes,
then
it can be done.
Nice.
So my question is, how on for them to get approved for a mortgage, what exactly, like the paperwork do they need, or what do you need for them to be able to do this?
So when you are relocating, the paperwork is basically the same as if you are purchasing normally. I will need your proof of employment, so your T4s or your NOAs, that sort of thing. I will need 3 months worth of bank statements, just showing me where your down payment has come from. I will need a letter from your employer. Now, I need that letter stating that you have worked in that employment for at least 90 days. So you're off probation. So if you are one of the lucky ones who are maybe being transferred to another province, or you are able to work remotely, your letter from your employer will just state that I'm transferring you, or they get to work on a beach somewhere, anywhere in the world they want to, and they're just working remotely, same job. Okay. Otherwise, I do need you to be at your new job for 3 months before I can get you that mortgage.
And what about down payment? How does that work?
I need a minimum of 5%, assuming this is your primary residence. Okay. And it has to be in your account for 90 days. It doesn't have to be in the same account. It can be in 12 different accounts. It can be coming from the bank of mom and dad. It can be coming from your RSPs, your savings, you sold your car. I just need to be able to track 90 days worth of your down payments.
So what I tell my clients is to just have it sit somewhere for 90 days. Don't touch it, to make it like smooth process. Okay.
That is the dream, Lee.
Okay.
That is the dream.
I'm trying to have everything in place to make it smooth.
If I can have it sitting in the same savings account or whatever it is, investment account for 90 days, that is the dream. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's great. Because I'm always like, don't do this and don't do that. Now, what about, especially because we're starting to get like really busy, and there's been multiple offer situations on homes. So can I call you up and say, you know what, Kim, I need to know exactly, as long as, like we talked about, all the paperwork's in, you have everything in place, can I say, hey, how many days do you need to get them approved? And how many, what else, and can you, now it seems like this is a new thing, can you give me a letter saying that they are pre-approved?
I can definitely get you, I can get them a letter saying that they're pre-approved. Okay. They have to give me permission to send it to you.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely get a letter saying they're pre-approved. If I have all their documentation, or at least if I have a good portion of their documentation, I can get a pre-approval within 24 hours.
Wow.
Sometimes less. the more documentation they can get me up front, the easier all that underwriting makes for me.
Now, what if they don't have anything? Because I've heard stories. What if they don't have anything to you? How long is that, like a week that it could take if you don't have anything from them?
If
Could
I
it take
don't have,
longer?
I can't do anything if I don't have anything.
Okay.
So yeah, I need to have, to do a full pre-approval, I need to have at least your employment information.
Okay.
I need to at least been able to check your credit. I don't necessarily need the letter from the employer right away. I don't necessarily need the bank statements right away, but I need to at least be able to have your employment information.
Okay. So it could cause issues if you don't have any of those.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it could take
market,
longer than, I mean, I've heard stories it could take longer than 14 days.
in order, if you are ready, then it shouldn't take long at all. I can usually do a condition removal. Condition removal is about 4 days is what I'd like.
Okay.
Yeah, but a pre-approval, and then you can give that pre-approval to the seller. And
now that's something I try to talk about, and I know I don't want to make it like sound like it's funny, or I may like make videos of it. Oh, like it's one video I make more and more videos about is being pre-approved, but it is important, right? Like I'm not just doing it, like I just want people to know that I'm not just saying it to have it, but it's a very important process that you really need to be pre-approved before you start looking at houses.
the worst thing is going and looking at a house that's, it's your dream house, you love everything about it, and it turns out you can't even come close. And it's like breaking up a relationship. You've already fallen in love. That's the one you want. That's the dream. And when you find out that you can't do it, that's heartbreaking. So yeah, always get pre-approved first, and yeah.
I know I make videos of them, but I'm just trying to say that it is a very important process to make sure, because it helps us also. Like if you're looking at $400,000 houses and you only get approved for 300, that's a big jump there in houses.
Yeah.
We always have to have good communication open for this whole process, especially now it's getting busy. So everything needs to be in place. So when we say things to people, it's just because we want it to go smoothly. And for me, I find that if I can write a clean, good offer, it's golden. It's golden. It's golden.
Yeah.
And that's where it's amazing, is when it's, So, and that's why I'm always kind of like, okay, let's have everything in place. I know everyone gets excited, like, let's go. But it's like you find that house, and if things aren't in place and they're all, multiple offers, and that's, I think, with relocating, it's make sure everything's in place. So as long as everything's in place, if the house comes up that they love, everything's good.
Smooth. Yeah.
So is it easier, so if they're relocating, to use, like, say they're coming from Ontario or BC for a mortgage, is it easier if they get one there or get one here?
Get it here. Yeah, get your lender through, because we have different rules provincially. There's different taxes, there's different licensing for the mortgage brokers, depending on which province you live in. And yeah, the advantage of Alberta is we don't have things like land transfer taxes, and it's way cheaper to buy houses in Alberta, not just the selling price. There's the government stays out of a lot of it. So so yeah, use your mortgage broker in Alberta if you're buying in Alberta.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything else mortgage-wise that if you're relocating, they need to do?
They need to call KSM Mortgages and they need to call Lee Booth.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, if there's any relocation questions at all, ask them up front, get all your information, and just be as knowledgeable as you can.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and that's what I say for the buying side. As long as you're open and you say what you want, and we have that conversation, and I can find you any home. That's the great thing. You can be in a different province and I can help you find a home. That's not the issue, but it's being upfront and being like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
Because you want to be excited. Like, you want to be like, yes, this is my home. And I think that's one of the biggest things is it's about communication.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, Lee. And if anybody has any questions regarding relocating and buying a property in a different province, we would love to answer any questions you have. So just get in touch with either Lee or myself. Thank you so much for talking to me, Lee.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.